Real Madrid defeats Real Oviedo 3-0 away, with Xabi Alonso getting his first 2 wins as a Real Madrid manager here in La Liga. And people, it's a crazy situation. Right now, as you see, Madrid won 2 games. Mbappe scoring two goals in both matches, and also Vinicius Jr. getting a goal and assist after being benched his second game because Xabi Alonso believes that he was underperforming. For me, I also do believe that last season, also in the Club World Cup and the first game of La Liga, that he hasn't been Vinicius Jr. He's not the player that we've been seeing for the past couple of years now. He's not that. Of course he's a superstar. Of course he's a top talent. Of course he's one of the best in the world. But we just haven't seen that Vini in about a year now. He was the main guy at Real Madrid. Even when Mbappe came in at first, Vinicius Jr. was the player for Real Madrid at the beginning, and then role swapped. Mbappe started becoming the goal scorer, the player that everyone's talking about, winning the Golden Boot, and Vini was just on the sideline, same with Rodrygo. And how will this still affect the team? We seen that last season, Madrid underperformed. Didn't win La Liga, didn't win Champions League, the 2 most important tournaments, and also with the Club World Cup, losing in the semis against PSG 4-0. I wanted to do manager. I wanted change. I wanted structure, and that's why they brought in Xabi Alonso. So here with this match, Rio Oviedo, for me, it was kind of similar to the game they played in match day 1, where they had possession. That, of course, Real Madrid is gonna have possession as a team. They're always going to have possession as a team and always be very good in their counter attacks. And that's what I've seen this match. I don't want to say they don't create chances. Of course, they create chances, but they can't finish off how they're supposed to. Arda Güler had eight chances created that match. Only one of them went through. He had 1 assist. It's just a huge thing. Real Madrid. A main issue with me is that I've seen these 2 matches is the middle's always open. The middle, you have Mbappe and Vini. This is in the first game. Always heading to the left side. You don't have someone in the middle. So many crosses going through, and no one's in the middle to read it. I think Gonzalo Garcia is I really want to see more with him. I think he's such a really good player that needs to start because Madrid need a proper number 9. Mbappe, he's not a number 9. He does the job. Of course, he's gonna get the job, but he can do even more if he plays in the left, I believe. And then if Gonzalo's in the middle, he's tall, he's pacey, he adds pressure, he gets the ball, great shooting, he scores headers. He scored a couple in the Club World Cup, and also in the Copa del Rey game that he played. You need someone like that in the middle of the box to be there, to like a Haaland, to be there. He's not skillful, but he's gonna do the job done, and that's something Real Madrid need. And Rodrygo looks like he's on his way out. And as much as I don't want to see, it's not going to work as a team. He had his time. People say he performed well. For me, it was just pretty average. He got the ball a few times, tried to get in the middle, took a few shots. And for me, even last season, I said Rodrygo plays better with Mbappe. I just didn't really see it this game. And, Vinny, of course, a player like Vinicius Jr. does not want to get benched. And he does what he did. He got a goal, got an assist. It looks like he was shushing Xabi Alonso, but yeah, it's a lot to carry in with Real Madrid. You see this lineup where they have here. Mostatuano got his first start in Real Madrid, his first 60 minutes. Took out Brahim Diaz, took out from the beginning of match day 1, took out Vinicius Jr., took out Trent Alexander-Arnold. I believe Eder Militao started the first match too, and they added in Rudiger, who just finished his suspension from that Copa del Rey final. Mostatuano, for me, he shows that he 100% can be that player. He applies pressure. He gets more comfortable with the ball every time he gets it. It's just he needs time to showcase. He moved different leagues, Argentina all the way to Spain. Now playing for the probably the best team, the most known team in the world. And you just need to adjust. And I really do like what I've seen from him. Hasn't shown much. He's played around 70 minutes, 80 minutes of football from Real Madrid so far, but really excited. Rodrygo, the only reason I want him to leave is because I care so much for him. I think he deserves to be in a better team, or not a better team, but deserves to be in a team where he gets minutes where he can be that star player. Is it a Liverpool? Is it a City? Is it an Arsenal? Is it a Bayern? I want him to join the top team. He deserves it. Such an underrated key player. He's never gonna be in the talks of like a Vini and Mbappe, you know, but he 100% can. And if a team of superstars, it's really hard to have that. Arda Güler, people discredited him last season, saying he was a flop. It's just the way Carlos Ancelotti handled the Madrid players as a whole, the youngsters, the bench. It was just terrible. And it will be times where Arda Güler didn't play for 5 games in a row, and it's just mind blowing how you have such a talented midfielder like Arda Güler be in the team. Um, Carl's back from injury, looked pretty solid. Dean Huijsen's probably the best center back, top 3 to 5 best center back in the world right now. I think he's Madrid's probably most important player at the moment. Such a key factor in this team. Uh, it's a water player. And a main thing I'm a huge fan of this Real Madrid team is their depth. Their depth. I can't really say. They have so much young talent or so much good players in the bench, and I like seeing Xabi use them, because Ancelotti would not. He would play the same starting 11 until the 80th minute, and probably sub in a player or two. That's what he did, and I want to see change. He only used. I know he used all 5. Um, sure, he used Trent Ceballos for a little bit, but he added in Gonzalo Garcia. He applied the second Gonzalo got in. He applied pressure. Vinicius Jr. made a huge impact. It wasn't the video we seen, but it was he was trying to prove a point. Brahim Diaz, he's always been a huge fan of Brahim Diaz. He was a key factor in both goals. So, uh, really, was it the when did Mbappe score? Yeah, no, not the both goals, or the second Mbappe goal and Vinicius' third goal. He was a key factor in those two. So you just need a player like that. He's not gonna get the goals, maybe get the assists, but he 100% does the dirty work, and that's something Brahim Diaz is. Um, Trent. I was actually surprised seeing Trent being dropped and being subbed in so late. You have a player bringing in Trent. You need to adjust him into the team. Of course, he's your captain. He Carvajal came back from ACL injury. Is that his starting spot, or is it Trent's starting spot? Obviously, Trent's for long term, but as of right now, you need to see who is going to be that main right back for Real Madrid. Um, it's a shame. I really want to see Raul Asensio get minutes. Same with Fran Garcia. I'm a huge fan of those two, and Asensio in the Club World Cup just didn't show what he did for Real Madrid last season. Madrid was such in a terrible position with no Militao, at some point with no Rudiger, with no center backs. They're playing Chouameni down in the back, Lucas Vasquez at right back. All these midfielders or players out of position playing there, and finally up until I think December is when Militao tore his ACL and Asensio was getting minutes. But sometimes Ancelotti would even start Asensio. He would still start Chouameni at center back, and I think up until February is when he actually started using Asensio as a main starter for Real Madrid. And same that we haven't seen any minutes from Raul Asensio so far in this La Liga season. Hopefully next week. I'm not sure who they go against next, but yeah, with Real Oviedo, they haven't played against each other. I think they said what, 24 years, 23. And Real Madrid are known for helping them get out of bankruptcy and by like 200,000 worth in shares, kept the club alive, helped them. And I don't know much about these players. I just know Salah Ronaldo when he played in Newcastle and West Brom, and of course Santi Cazorla, who got a couple minutes from getting subbed in. For me, that I think actually Real Oviedo as a La Liga 2 team getting into the La Liga, they played honestly pretty decent against Real Madrid. They had so many chances to score. Um, Courtois had a huge one save. Some shots went wide for Oviedo, but Oviedo had a bunch of chances to score, and I was actually really surprised with their performance. 3-0 doesn't really justify how good Madrid played, because they didn't. Of course, Madrid also could have had more goals. Arda Güler had a shot. Fede had a shot. Um, but still, I think the performance, it's getting there slowly. But Real Madrid just needs to work on attacking. For me, the defending, sometimes they leave gaps in, and that's when Oviedo push through and able to get some chances. But I think honestly, Sure, these are smaller teams. It's not you have to be ready when they actually versus the top La Liga team like a Sociedad or Atletico or a Villarreal or a Barca. But Madrid, for me, if it still looks like this until the end of the season, Barcelona are going to win the league again. But slowly, this new manager, you need to adjust. You need time. Um, Small things, Madrid, not small things, but key main things Real Madrid. Real Madrid need to work on. Uh, I didn't write any notes, so it's not like I can remember from top of my head. It did happen like 2 days ago. The match. Um, let's see here. Madrid 6 points. It's really important for Xabi Alonso, for Moro, for you don't want the news media because for me this first game against who was it? First game again with Osasuna, it was just really poor for Real Madrid, really poor. You don't want to win just by a penalty, and people say it's controversial penalty. It wasn't. It was for me. It was a penalty. Fans want to say whatever, but it just this match Madrid did not look good at all, and yeah, Mbappe gives Alonso unconvincing win. It was a unconvincing win. Madrid not good. Of course, Madrid looked better this match than the first one, but like I said before, you need to get into the rhythm. You need to start. It's only second game of La Liga, so there's so many games. 36 more games to go for Real Madrid. Um, Key thing people talk about is they need a new midfielder, and that thing it confuses me a little bit because they have so much midfielders. I think the only one they should bring in is Nico Paz. People say they need that technical midfielder. There's Arda who is technical, but they said they need a Pedri in this team. I 100% see that, but no, you have Bellingham, and I think Bellingham can 100% be that midfielder for Real Madrid, and they're probably gonna bench Chouameni. Don't think they're gonna do three in the back. It really depends because they're not gonna drop Fede. That's their co-captain. That's their captain. When Carvajal's not playing, and or if or when Carvajal retires, um, really wanna. It's just will they drop Mosatuano or will they drop Ibrahim Diaz? That's probably what will happen. Um, in the Club World Cup, that look they honestly I think they looked way better when they played Chouameni with Hoyson and Militao three in the back. Fran Garcia, I'm a huge fan of Fran Garcia. I really want him to get minutes. But Carreras or Fran as wing back, Carvajal or Trent as right wing back, and having the midfield of a Bellingham, Goulet, Fede, and Chouameni as the center back slash DM role. And then up top, you want to see a Vini and Mbappe, but I do think that a Gonzalo and Mbappe would work out better. Um, because you still need that proper number nine, and I want to see Mbappe on the left. I want to see Vinny be Vinny, but you can't have all. You can't. And it really depends because you have so many midfielders you don't want to drop. You don't want to drop a Chouameni because you need that deep role, or you don't want to drop a Goulet because you need that technical, or you want to drop Valverde because he's your captain and he's that versatile. He's that you know does the dirty work type player. And then boom, Bellingham comes back from injury. How do you work with all that? That's what you really need to work on. And up top you have a Vini, you have a Rodrygo, you have an Mbappe, and you can also add in Ibrahim Diaz, a Franco, Gonzalo Garcia. It's just so many talented players, and rotation is key, of course, but it really does depend. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts with how I think Real Madrid were this match. Small things they need to work on. Big things also. It's huge. Next game's against Mallorca on the 30th, so in like 5 days. It was pretty close. Let's check their next couple of fixtures here. Real Sociedad, that's why I said one of the top teams. Levante looked really good against Barcelona. Barcelona were really poor in the first half. I knew they were going to get the comeback. It was like the same feeling I had when they was against Dortmund, against Inter, against that other team. I forgot the comeback they made in La Liga. But Sociedad, Espanyol, Levante, and Atletico in the 28th of September. Um, let's get a little pre-match. Our thoughts. And speaking of players, you still have an Endrick, you still have a Kamavinga. It's just how do you work with all these players? That's gonna be really tricky for, well, really tricky. Wrong one. Where is it? Really tricky for Real Madrid. Because Kamavinga, I I've it switches around. I'm like, Camavinga should start. I'm like, no, Tchouaméni should start. No, Arda Güler should start. No, Fede, Bellingham. There's just so many talented players. And then Endrick, for me, he got this really. There's the stat I forgot. It was like 358 minutes in total. That's like 4 games totaled he played last season. If it's gonna say he played 22 games all season. He only scored a couple goals. If you actually count the minutes in, he's played 4 games last season, all divided in those 30, 40, 50 games he played last year. He's only played 4 minutes wise, and that's just mind blowing to me because he's done so much with the time that he had. I think he scored more goals than minute games than he had last season, and he was such a key vital part of the Copa del Rey run. And he's such a for me, I love to see an Endrick and Gonzalo duel, um, striker partnership. That's not gonna happen. Maybe for like a Copa del Rey game, or a La Liga game later on the season when they're if they're higher in points and they're versing against a low team in the bottom half. But besides that, Madrid have two really good, talented strikers, but how to use them all. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have here. Hope you guys enjoyed today's little rant. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time against Mallorca. And it's not gonna